Hello there. This presentation is designed to let you know all about the EPQ so that you can make a decision about whether it's something that you'd like to be involved in during Year 12 and Year 13 at UVHS. So we're going to start with the most straightforward question. What is the EPQ? Well, it stands for Extended Project Qualification, and at its most basic, it is a qualification offered by AQA which allows students to carry out a research project of their own into a subject of their choice. So there are two routes to doing this. The most popular is to research and then write a 5,000 word essay. The second is to create an artifact. So what we mean by that is it could be a piece of art, it could be something physical like a musical instrument or a sculpture, or it could be something like a performance or even a podcast or something like that. The choice of subject is incredibly broad. It is your choice. The only boundaries on that are it must be something that you can study to a sufficient depth that AQA can award you marks for it, and it must not overlap with things that you are already studying. It is equivalent to an AS qualification, and depending on the grade you come out with, it's worth up to 28 UCAS points. However, I would emphasise that doing it for the purpose of gaining some extra UCAS points or an extra qualification by itself are not the best reasons for doing an EPQ. You should be doing an EPQ because you are passionate about your project and about your subject. Here are some examples of recent Year 12 EPQ titles. A critical assessment of midwifery and its evolution from ancient Egypt to the modern day. An analysis of the Tiger 1 tank of World War II. Yep, I've missed out a bit there. With a focus on the armoury, performance and maintenance. Should Tony Blair be labelled a war criminal for his role in the Iraq War 2003? A comparative look at the history of influenza pandemics and the responses at the time. Now that's an interesting one at the moment. A critical analysis on the language development of feral children. The importance of biological and chemical causes of depression and how exercise can influence these. Our current Year 13s are carrying out a similarly wide range of research topics, from those who are researching wars in the 19th century to the economics of China, to creating their own musical instruments and even elements of medieval armour. So I said that the UCAS points probably weren't the best reason to do an EPQ. So why should you do an EPQ? Well, the Russell Group, which is a collection of research-intensive universities in the UK, created a website called Informed Choices to help those who are trying to give themselves the best chance of getting into a Russell Group university. And they had this to say about the EPQ. Undertaking this kind of project could considerably improve skills in time management, academic writing, referencing and critical analysis, among other things. And what we know about the EPQ is that often the key benefits of it become apparent in the second and third year and even fourth year of university courses. So there is a knock-on effect from doing the EPQ in Year 12 and Year 13 and then achieving a higher classification of degree later on. The EPQ is valued by Russell Group universities as a result, and some may include it in their offer instead of a 4th A level, but check individual requirements. Even if it's not included in offers, the EPQ can still be viewed favourably as a sign of interest or aptitude in the degree subject chosen. If the EPQ is not linked to the subject chosen, it can be referenced in a personal statement or interview. And I have to say, reading through many students' draft personal statements, the EPQ is something that is fantastic to talk about at that point. So you will have noted that the EPQ is said that it could impact an offer that you got from university, and this is certainly true. Many will incorporate the EPQ in what is called an alternative offer. So you may be given a straightforward offer and then an alternative. So some examples include a standard offer of AAB might become an alternative offer of ABB with a pass in the EPQ. So for instance, this is the case with chemistry at Bath and physics at Liverpool, history and politics at Sheffield. Most courses at the University of Birmingham will be given an offer like that, and most courses at the University of Lancaster, barring medical schools and so on, and the same is with Sheffield, will be offered on that basis. So what does the EPQ actually entail? Well, as we've said, it's a chance for you to start and complete a project, and from my perspective, I think that's the most useful thing you get out of the EPQ. It's really easy to start something, to have an idea, have a great idea, and to begin it, and then let it peter out. Think about how many people each year start writing a novel and don't get past the first few chapters, or start thinking about a great idea for a podcast or something else, and it is a great idea, but they don't get very far with it. The EPQ gives you experience of having a great idea, planning it, executing it, and then reviewing it, and it shows that you can take on and tackle something really big from start to finish. So the key qualities that you need for an EPQ are independence and perseverance. The more independent you can be whilst you're doing an EPQ, the higher you will score. And because it will generally take months and months of work to complete, it shows huge perseverance to be able to do that over the time required. That makes EPQs pretty tough, but at the same time, it's work that is undertaken on a project that hopefully you are super passionate about, that you care about and you find really, really interesting. So everything that makes an EPQ tough should also make it really rewarding, providing you're looking at something that you really do want to do. A good contrast to make is with the lessons that you have in school. So in your lessons, the teacher decides what you study, the teacher decides how you go about it and what activities you do, the teacher decides on the assessments and the success criteria for those assessments. The EPQ flips that round completely. It rewards your choices. You decide what you want to study. You make your own plan and decide your timings and what order you will do things in. You decide whether what the criteria are that your project will be judged against. You set your own mark scheme. So whereas your lessons and traditional study is all about the student being relatively passive and doing the work that they're set, the EPQ is a chance for you to be active and to really decide the direction that you want to take your project. So the structure of it is as follows. In the autumn term of Year 12, we start the EPQ, and there are around 25 hours of guided learning. This takes place through lessons in school with me on things like how to come up with a title, how to carry out research, how to plan a complex project, and also via MOOCs, or massively open online courses. You will decide what your question, what your project is, and you'll come up with a plan for carrying it out. In spring and summer, those lessons generally come to an end. This is the time that you will carry out your research. You will do all the work that you've planned in the first part of the year. If all goes to plan, and barring any more national lockdowns, when you get to the summer break, that's the time that you will write your EPQ or complete the project. There's around 5 hours of guided learning during this time to help you plan and write a 5,000 word essay and to make sure that you're filling in your project log correctly. And there's a number of meetings that will take place that are one-on-one meetings so that you can get a bit of guidance on the direction that you're taking and a bit of advice on areas that you might be struggling with. So you're not completely on your own. In the autumn term of year 13, you come back to school, to college, and at this point you should be looking to complete your EPQ project. You might still have another draft to do, you might be putting the finishing touches on it, but it should be complete relatively soon in year 13. After this point, you will then do a presentation on your project. This is an essential and compulsory part of the EPQ. After that, you complete your project log and you'll hand the whole thing in by Christmas, which should leave spring term for finishing your A-level courses, mock exams, revising, and then going into the summer.